workbench I have an Android, Acer Android tablet here. Power switch is broken on it, so we're going to pop this thing apart and see if we can resolder the power switch. I'm sure the switch itself is broken off because the button here just pushes right in. So to open up these tablets, you just have to get your tool around the edge here and just start popping up clips. And you can lift the top up. I actually pre-did the clips there, so but there's just little plastic clips around here. And we're gonna just have to remove the board here and take a look at the switch underneath here. So I've actually already been working on this unit here before bringing out the camera, so figured now that we know what the problem is, it's going to be a power switch problem, we can actually take the board apart and or take the board out and see if we can get that switch reattached. So first we have to remove the screws to hold things like the battery in place. And of course remove some of the tape that holds down wires. Once we lift out the battery, we'll disconnect the battery connector here. We don't want to have power connected to it. That's the phone. So I get the battery out. It's going to take out a couple more screws here. Should be able to lift out the main board. And the power switch is on the bottom. It's underneath the board here. So lift out a couple more screws here to take out the main board. Disconnect the antennas for the Wi-Fi. Like, you're really going to get good stereo separation when you've got two microphones that are side by side. One there and one there. That's going to give you good stereo separation, I tell you. Open up this other connector over here. Lift it up and lift out the connectors. And remove this other connector over here. That's a speaker connector, I'm pretty sure. That doesn't want to unplug. There we go. Just sticking. Okay, so now we should be able to lift up. Probably have to dig out. There's another connector underneath here as well. This will be for the display. I'm pretty sure this is probably the LDVS connector for the display, because it is all shielded underneath a shielded type of like a tape. And this is going to be the low voltage differential signaling connector for the display. So we just unplug that carefully. There we go. Now the display is unplugged from the main board, and we have one more plug down here at this end to come out. And another antenna here for the Wi-Fi, antenna number 9 as they call it, and one more plug over here, and the whole board should flip over just like that. And as I suspected, here's the power switch that's broken off of the board. That little power switch needs to be reattached right down here. That's going to be fun to try and re-solder that down. It's a surface mount type component. and that would normally be put on with a hot air station, which is something that I don't have, but I'm sure that we can probably get this thing reattached. Okay, now I got the switch positioned. Let's see if we can, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get my iron in there or not to resolder that. There's not a lot of room. This is definitely something that was done in an oven. I got something to stick there. Let's get some rosin. I'm gonna drop a bit of rosin down there. See if we can reflow the other terminal. I got it to stick a bit, which is really more than I expected. So we'll just get a bit of rosin here on the end of my pick. Back in there with the iron and see whether I can heat this up anymore. Make it stick properly. I don't know whether that switch is stuck down there or not, or whether it's not. It might be. Seems to work. Seems to be stuck down. I guess the only way to know for sure is if we reattach it and see if the thing fires up. So we'll get the board back in place here. There's power buttons in place. Seems to work. Now, only if the electrical connection's good will this be a success. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the electrical connection is good. It's tacked down, but I don't know. I don't know at this point until we get the connectors and everything back in place and the battery and everything connected. I don't know whether that switch is making a good solid electrical connection. If it is, and the unit turns back on, I'll be happy. If not, then I guess this unit's going to have to go to someone who's got better equipment than me for dealing with resoldering surface mounted switches. Microphone connectors.
Again, I question why they have 2 microphones on this thing. But then again, I question why my phone has got 4. I can understand though on a phone though, they use them for noise cancelling and stuff for speakerphone, right? And they probably do the same on this. Got all the connectors back in place. Just gotta now put the battery in. I believe this was the black screw was here, if I'm not mistaken. What difference that makes, I don't know, but one of these was a black screw, and I think it was that one. So now we got the battery. The battery just sits in like this. And it's held in place with 4 screws. Battery connector plugs in like that, and the moment of truth. Will the power switch work? Or will it won't? Or won't it work? Oh. I think it works. It's booting up. I'm actually quite impressed because I had doubts that I was going to be able to reattach that switch using the blowtorch size soldering iron that I have, but as you can see, the date's wrong because this thing hasn't been run. Well, the battery's been off it, so I mean stuff is dead, and I don't know the password for this thing. I doubt that it's 123. Who sets their password to 1234? This is not my tablet. This actually belongs to my neighbor. There we go. It's now picked up the correct time, and this thing's working. Incredible. Incredible, folks. It works. I'll put the little shield back down now that this is not going to make much difference now because the bond has been broken on it, but we'll put it back down anyway. We'll tape some of the wires back in place so that I can attach the back. Back cover for this thing goes on just like it came off. It just goes on and snaps in place.
Obviously it's not going to work on my network because it's not on my Wi-Fi network. Might be able to pick up his though, because he does live next door to me. Oh, it's connected to him too, so we should be able to surf on this thing. Let's just see here, what do we use to surf? We'll use Chrome. YouTube. Oh, this thing vibrates when you press the top of the screen. It's probably going to be slow as molasses in January because I'm probably just about at the extreme of his range. I don't see any signal on the signal meter. Again, I'm a good over 100 feet from his access point, so I'm surprised that this thing's even actually hanging in there, but that's a good sign. It means everything's working. The Wi-Fi is working. And I'm able to surf. It's funny, you know, because what comes up on here is 5 tricks to make people think you are amazing at guitar. The fellow that owns this unit is actually a guitar player, and he was in a band, actually quite a famous band in Canadian rock back in the 60s and 70s called the Five Man Electrical Band, and they had a few big hits that are still played on Canadian radio these days. And anyway, it's funny that first thing that pops up on YouTube is guitar videos, considering the guy that owns this to say is a pretty good player. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will catch you in the next one.